We're only taking it out of selected areas that are still pretty native. There's hundreds of acres of almost solid strawberry guava areas around, plenty for the pigs and the hunters, you know, that we'll never touch. And besides, that will kind of pull the pigs out of the native areas if we take the guava out of there, and then they'll all be in the guava areas and easier to hunt maybe. So anyway, but it definitely totally replaces the native forest.
For now, there is only one method that the Koke'e Resource Conservation Program can use to attempt to eradicate this species.
We pull them if we can, or we notch them with a machete around the base and apply a little bit of Garlon herbicide with a little drip bottle, squirt bottle. So it's very specific to the tree, and it's barely enough to kill it. We don't get 100% kill rate generally. We get pretty close, but we know we're not putting more than we need.
The worst of the three, and labeled as a superweed ecological emergency by the Nature Conservancy in 2007, is the Australian tree fern. The fern was introduced in the 1940s as an ornamental and became popular due to its rapid growth. Its fronds can reach up to 12 feet long and 3 feet wide, and can attain heights of up to 30 feet or more. The Australian tree fern will very quickly crowd and shade out other native ferns and plants as it aggressively takes over in disturbed areas.
It's spread by spores, which blows in the wind, which means the spread of it is even more unpredictable than bird spreading. It can spread farther, and basically we either pull them or we chop out the top, cut off the apical meristem, the growing tip, and put a little Garlon on that. The ginger was brought here in the 1930s. By a local cabin owner, and she was told it was the only thing that would grow under the eucalyptus trees that were by her cabin. And of course that's a red flag already, because if it grows where nothing else grows, that because eucalyptus is allelopathic, which kills other plants. So anyway, the ginger sat in her garden for about 20 years, and then in the 50s they saw it spreading out in the forest, so it took a while for the birds to learn they like the seeds. We pull it if we can, we clip it and put escort herbicide on the stump. But the small ones we pull, we even have to put a little herbicide on, because they'll still reroot even if they're hanging in the trees. That's how robust it is. And now it has spread over 8,000 acres, and it's spread clear over past Wainiha Valley to, I mean, that's about, I don't know, 9 miles or something out through the swamp. And it's from Nepal, from the Himalayas. So it grows in it really loves the high, wet, cool areas like the Alakai swamp.
Fernando Pinalosa describes the Alakai best in Chapter 1 of his book, The Alakai, Kauai's Unique Wilderness. Situated on northwestern Kauai, high up in the clouds, it is like no other place in the world, featuring incredibly beautiful rainforest with some 24 bogs, manifesting a great diversity of plants, insects, and birds, many found nowhere else. It has been called Kauai's greatest biological treasure. It may very well be Kauai's greatest treasure, period. Like all treasures, it needs protection.
You know, people have the question, is just green good enough? What if you just have guava trees in your watershed? Is that good enough? But it's really important to keep it native, because the native forest has all these different layers, the mosses and the ferns and the shrubs and the whole canopy, and it holds and absorbs the water better and yields it to the water table. And so the landowners in the Kauai Watershed Alliance all decided it was important to keep it native. Actually, the Alakai Wilderness Preserve, the Nature Conservancy has targeted that because it's already highly native, and so you get more bang for your buck. And they did helicopter surveys to find the outliers of the weeds and keep them from going all the way to Waialeale. So, so when you can strategize like that, they drew a defensible line, and we're getting everything beyond the defensible line. It seems doable. In the rest of the park and so on, we pick areas, try to, that are 75% native or more still, so that it preserves that seed bank, and it can come back native a lot easier because it has the canopy to yield seeds after you take out the weeds. But I certainly think it's worth it as long as we have volunteers to help. If we just had paid staff, I don't know that we could get enough done to stay ahead of much of anything.
There's just too much to do and not enough hands to get it all done. Unfortunately, there's no time to waste as Kauai loses both flora and fauna species every year to extinction.
There's quite a lot on Kauai, and the whole islands. There's 639 endangered plants and 194 threatened, and there's 256 already went extinct. Oh, wow. And actually over 30% of the U.S. list of endangered plants are Hawaiian plants, and it's a fraction of the land mass. So Hawaii's become called the endangered capital of the world.
All is not lost yet. There are still too many people who have dedicated their lives to saving the precious forests of Kauai. Just recently, on March 10th, 2010, 48 Kauai species were listed as federally endangered by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, now giving these species complete protection.
Oh.